So you can address me as Professor Marin. I am an interdisciplinary artist. I ran an art gallery before I was teaching. I did this for about a year. I love teaching art. I have my Bachelor of Fine Arts from the Ontario College of Art and Design University from Toronto, Canada. And then I also have my Master's in Fine Art from the School of Art Institute of Chicago in Chicago. And you can see here, I put a little photo of, this is one of the gallery that I ran, and this is one of the shows that was on display. I also have 3 cats, just so you know me a little bit more personally. We have here in the corner, the bottom right, this is Pepper, right here, the white, gray, and white. She is the mischief cat. She's definitely has the attitude. This is Stormy. He's my little tuxedo cat. He's the most lovable, sweet cat. I mean, he's also, I call him the chicken cat because he runs away over everything. And then here is my wise mama cat. She is the cutest thing. Feisty, but very brave and very smart. Anyway, those are my 3 cats. Sometimes they might appear in the videos. So I want to tell you a little bit about me and what I do, because I'm an artist. And you know, when someone asks me, well, what kind of art do you do? I do multiple different types of art. I do drawing, painting, photography, digital collage. I also like poetry. But really, when I think about what I do in art, I'm interested in the ideas that are behind the artwork itself. So the art and what the art is made of is just a vehicle, it's just a way of communicating those ideas. So my ideas or my interests lie and intention is in sentimentality. I'm also really, I've been drawing orbs as vessels. I'm also interested in memory and color theory. So I also have a website. You'll probably check it out just quickly here. It's janicemarin.com. So this is my website if you did want to see, you know, what I do as an artist, who your professor is. This is where you would find it. So these are some of the drawings I've been working on. So what are the main goals of this class? I know that, you know, they're also in the descriptive section as well, but, you know, at the end of the day, I just want to tell you, my goal is to develop your creative thinking skills and specifically your critical eye. So what is a critical eye? I mean, if we think about it, you know, it's an eye that critiques everything. That could be a negative way of looking at it, but really what it means is someone or someone who can see things in a way that's enlightened. So like being able to notice things that you might not have noticed before, and then also being able to understand maybe more of an in-depth meaning. And that's something that art does for us, right? It teaches us how to look at things differently. And oftentimes it's the artwork that teaches us that through a very unique way of communicating. So I want to also foster an interest in creative expression, as well as aesthetic understanding. So aesthetics is the study of beauty. So what is beauty? And of course, art appreciation. This class is called Art Appreciation. I want you to love art, or you know, maybe you don't need to love it, but to appreciate it, right? Where it comes from, what it's done, how it connects to us as people that live in a society. And you know, as well, we'll introduce art history and the visual arts in general. So you won't have to worry too much about memorization of dates. We are going to be looking at things in a very different way. In the end, I want you to develop a knowledge base to support further study in art. So if you decide that you want to study art further, you've already had a pretty good foundation to continue on to maybe a more specific art history course, or even anything else that you may decide you want to do. I threw in there some strategies for ideation. So ideation is a fancy word for saying generation of ideas. And so, creativity and art are intertwined. Like they both belong to each other. And to come up with ideas is a function of being creative. And so art exercises that part of your brain that makes it possible for you to come up with ideas and to be creative. And last but not least, visual literacies. Visual literacies is a fancy way of saying words that we use that describe art, or the words that we use to communicate and talk about art. So to be literate in visual language. So to be able to talk about a painting, like to go to a gallery, maybe on a date, and say, oh, let's look at this painting, and say, something very profound, or maybe not profound at all. Maybe it's just, oh, look at this color. This color is this, and the complementary to this color is this. So that's what visual literacies means. So how are we going to do this? So every week, I'm going to just break it down to you. I like to create lists. I really like lists. You'll notice this. I want to make sure that my instructions for you are simple and clear. The first thing is to watch the lecture, like this recorded lecture, for example. You can't do it without watching the lecture. Please don't try to do the quiz or the assignment without listening to the lecture first. It's a waste of your time. So I need you to just set aside your time and focus and watch and listen to the lecture. Then I need you to complete the quiz and the assignment. And depending on the week, I might suggest doing the assignment before you do the discussion board post, because the assignment gives you a way to reflect on maybe a few details that only I'm going to read it. So maybe you want to just kind of process some of the information. I'm going to ask you some questions that have to do with the material that we covered. And the assignment is not going to be difficult, but I really want to hear you. I want to hear your voice in the written work. Absolutely no cut and paste from Google. Okay, don't Google something and cut and paste it. I can just search it and I can tell if you did that. And if you do, you get a 0. And if you continue to do that, then that's actually called plagiarism. So I need you to just write it in your own voice. Okay, write it as if I'm standing there or sitting there, and you want to answer the question the way if you were at an interview, right? And secondly is discussion board. So I'm going to pose some questions in the assignment. They're probably more personal, that have to do with your own thoughts and feelings. Sometimes it is an opinion question. If you're going to respond to me in an opinion question, I want you to back it up with something from the lecture. That's the whole point of the assignment. I want you to process some of the information you've learned and put it into a response. And so the third part is the discussion board. The discussion board will be a little bit more fun. I might even put in a little video from YouTube, and then I want you to watch it, and then I want you to answer some questions. That's going to take whatever we learned in the lecture and kind of push it on to maybe a more interesting level. And then when necessary, I will give you the link for the chapter to read before the next lecture. I don't want you to read the chapter after the lecture, okay? Then, because at that point, you will have missed the opportunity to learn. You're still going to learn something, but if you really want to optimize your learning, first you read the chapter, okay? First and foremost, then you listen to the lecture. Because like in the chapter, you're going to get a lot of information, right? You're going to get everything that is written out by in the textbook, as well as several images. And then when you get my lecture, I'm going to focus on some parts of that information. And so at that point, you will hear some of that information twice, right? Not all of it, but some of it will highlight. And that means that you're absorbing more, right? You're getting the most bang for your buck. What you're doing is that you're reading the chapter, you're listening to the lecture, and a couple of things you're going to learn more specifically. And those are maybe the more important things. But sometimes I'm not going to cover everything, but it will still be on the quiz, right? So it's important to read the chapter before the lecture. So I'm always going to put that link for the chapter will be for the following week's lecture, okay? And here's the best part. I'm not going to start doing that till about week 5. The first weeks, we're going to be covering more things about art, like very specific, like formal elements, like, you know, we're going to talk about color, line, and everything. And I'm not going to include reading. So I want you to know that we're going to start those chapters in week 5, where it starts to get a little bit more dense, where we're going to get into some big themes. And eventually, you're going to start working on a project. There are only 2 projects. One is a collage with a description that is a 3-point paragraph, and the second one is a paper. You have to complete a final paper in order to pass this class. And the final paper will be on an artist. I will not talk about it today. I will talk about it in detail, I believe, the next class. But you might as well get started taking notes and just picking out who your favorite artist is that you want to focus that paper on. So this is the textbook that we're going to be using, but I believe you're going to be accessing a digital version of it. It is called Exploring Art, A Global Thematic Approach by Margaret Lazari and Donna Schleicher. And what I like about this book is that it organizes art into themes. So some of those themes are like the spiritual life, politics, cultural life, and personal identity. So those are just some examples. So instead of going in order, where we would start from the prehistoric to, you know, several different stages in history, and instead of doing that, what we're going to do is we're going to look at a bunch of art that's from all different time periods that covers the theme of politics, for example. And that, I think, kind of is going to give us a little bit more flexibility on seeing lots of different artwork and it being a little bit more engaging for you to follow along. So you're going to learn how to analyze art, and then also, by the extension of analyzing art, to design products as well, advertising, fashion, and craft. So we kind of cover just a little bit of everything. All right, plagiarism and turnitin.com. I'm going to read this to you because you can't say that you didn't know this, and I am assuming as a college student, you should already know this by now. Plagiarism, the act of copying or representing the ideas or words of another as one's own without giving credit to the source. This is cheating. So cheating on examinations and all forms of academic dishonesty are forbidden and will not be tolerated. Students found to be engaged in such activity will be subject to appropriate disciplinary action, which may include a reduction in grade, a failure in the close, suspension, or expulsion. So we know this, right? I mean, don't copy. It's a given. Do your own voice. It's much more interesting for me to hear your opinions in your own dialogue than it is for me to read something that was copied. Modification of syllabus. I mean, there might be an opportunity for me to take a quiz, maybe like, I won't add a quiz, but there might be a chance that I remove one quiz, depends. I'm just gonna see how we're going, you know, how things are progressing through the semester, but I just wanna tell you that that I may modify the syllabus, and if I do, I will notify you. But I'm going to just read this to you as well. It's important for me to share this. So the professor reserves the right to modify the syllabus, including but not limited to reading assignments, order of material presented, due dates for assignments. Modification of the syllabus will be announced, and it is the student's responsibility to be aware of any and all changes. So anything I change, I will let you know. It will not be to add more work. I just want to be clear. I'm not going to put more work on you. I might take away something so that there's just, depending how we're going, or if maybe we decide to focus on something a little bit longer. But for the most part, I just want you to know I will make sure that I communicate those changes to you. Late work policy. So all the work, every week, your work is due on Sunday. Okay, Sunday, I even give you till 11 p.m. You need to complete everything at that point. And honestly, I won't have time to grade late work because there literally is not enough time with the amount of work that we have to cover. So you need to get it done or it gets a 0, right? Unless you have an official document saying you were sick. And there are, very specific ways to get that done. So just don't do late, don't try to hand in late work. It will get a 0. There are very few exceptions, and you know what those are. So students are expected to turn in all work on time. No late work will be accepted without any verifiable excuse. And that is that. So what is an idea book? An idea book is just what I call a journal / sketchbook / notebook. And, I have several of these. This is what I've used all through my graduate school. And they are just some of the most cherished items I have in terms of creative access. Like if I want to look at something I've written or studied, I can always look back at my idea book and I can see some notes that I took from my professor or maybe from a visiting artist or any kind of thing I've read in a book. So an idea book is a notebook. It can be lined or blank. So I use lined books. I still draw in them, even though they have lined pages. And you should have like a pencil, any kind of pencil you like, make sure it just works, an eraser, if you want a highlighter, and Post-it tabs. Post-it tabs are great. Here's an image of one of my idea books. You can see here Post-it tabs. Here, these little guys, you can get those at, I'm pretty sure, Target or any kind of office supply. If you just want to use the little yellow ones, that's fine too. I'm not picky. I just like to use these because they're great to write on with pencil. And I use this to create sections in my book. Of course, feel free to do it the way you want to do it. This is how I organize. So if you want to learn from how I organize something, this is the system I use. Now, on the back of this, you buy this, it's separate. I put double-sided tape and I adhere it to the inside of my idea book cover, and that way I always have them handy when I need them. Pencil works great on writing these. It doesn't actually smudge. I think that it's perfect for that material. So first thing is I need you to go and get yourself a hardcover book is best because it lasts forever. Well, not forever, but it'll last the longest. I like to use a coil binding. Like you can see here, this is called a coil binding. The reason being is that it's the most comfortable to write on. If you're going to be sitting at a computer and you're taking notes, you can just flip it over and it will stay open for you. Sometimes those sketchbooks that have a hard binding, you have to kind of hold one side down while you try to take notes and sketch on the other side. So you're going to use it for artist notes, drawings, inspirations, thoughts, anything that's connected or related to the class. And I'm okay if you want to put other things in there too. I mean, if you find an inspirational quote, feel free to put it in your idea book. I would love to see that. I think that's brilliant and it's a great addition. So on the inside cover, this is a suggestion. On the bottom left, adhere the tab, the sticky tab with double-sided tape. And these tabs will be used to create sections in your book. The sections will be helpful in organizing content as you take notes and gather information during the year and beyond. So like I said, pencil works great for that. It writes really well. So you write on the tab with pencil and attach it to the page with the tab portion sticking out. The titles are up to you. You may use any kind of identifying word to determine what information you wish to write and draw. Make the following tabs. For sure, have this. So have like a tab for lists, have a tab for artists, have a tab for ideas, and a glossary. So in artists, you're going to notice that throughout the semester, I'm going to bring up a lot of artists. And I think the ones that you find interesting, you should write down, and then you always have access to remember what those artists are. So create a list of the artists that you like. Of course, I want you to start thinking about what artists you might want to write about in your final paper. So you might as well get started on that too. Just kind of keep track of artists that inspire you or that you like their artwork. It'll be a much easier thing to write about artists that you like their artwork than it is to write about an artist that you may not like their art. And so that's what my suggestions are. So in your idea book, you can draw in it. If you like to draw, I want to see it. I totally want to see it. It could be in the corner, maybe along the bottom. Make sure there's notes in there too. Thumbnail sketches, we're going to talk a little bit about that too. Take notes, write quotes, date your pages, okay? Because you have to hand in 2 pages. On the top, I want you to write week 1. Right? Maybe the top right corner, week 1, week 2, week 3, etc. Okay, so they're also is going to be useful for you in the end. So before we go into thumbnail sketches, it is expected that your idea book will be used in developing methods for ideation. Remember, so this is like the process of creating multiple ideas. Ideation is the process where you generate ideas and solutions through sketching, writing, brainstorming, brain writing, and idea mapping. You can gather ideas outside of class from anywhere, and then you will submit images of your idea book and its content for weekly assignments. So remember, every assignment, you answer the questions, and then you also submit a photograph, an image, a pic of your idea book. It could be 1 page or it could be 2. You don't have to do too many. Just even 1 little page of notes where you've written down some keywords, some vocabulary words would be great. It'd be very useful for you for your learning and for your experience of the class. All right, so what is a thumbnail sketch? Very quickly, we're going to go over this. And I might include a little video too, because a thumbnail sketch is not that hard to do. I really don't want you to worry about it too much. But while you're learning and you listen to the lecture, you're going to be watching, right? And I'm talking about art, and that artwork, you need to write down information because you're eventually going to have to do a final exam. So this is a way of remembering an image. A thumbnail sketch is quick. It's a simple drawing that's done very rapidly with no correction. So it doesn't have to be perfect. And you can use, a pen or pencil, but I would say like pencil is probably the easiest. And they're usually very small, only about 1 inch or 2 high. So You know, I sometimes make them a little bigger, like 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches, but you can do that. You can decide what size you want to do it. So it's just like a little tiny scratch drawing of the art. And you know, the reason why I want you to do this is that they help in your memory and in memory, memorizing information from the class and memorizing art. It also is just like, it is really good for you to do a little bit of drawing to while we're going through this class, and while you're listening to the lecture, you can do a little tiny thumbnail sketch of the artwork. So it serves as a memory aid to help you remember important features of a subject when making notes for a painting or drawing. They are also useful when visiting a gallery to help you remember important pieces. And artists often use thumbnail sketches to plan pictures. So it's actually used as a tool for artists all the time. So remember, once you've done your thumbnail sketch, you might want to make some notes alongside it, like the title of the artwork or the name of the artist. So record the artist's name and title the work and your thoughts about the artwork as well. So this is a way to learn. Okay, so I look forward to having you in my class, and that's it. Welcome.